Hello everybody and welcome to week 2 of our course. I hope that you found the content for week 1 manageable and interesting and interactive because of course I hope to create modules each week that do that. But I also hope that they are engaging to you and that you're beginning to think a little bit more deeply about the impact of American history. Perhaps upon the historical narrative, but also perhaps upon your own understanding of contemporary society. So for example, last week we talked briefly about the indigenous tribes, Native Americans, both in North and South America. And one of the things that hopefully you walked away with is that the land that eventually Europeans came to settle upon during the 16th and 17th centuries was not a frontier. It was not a wilderness. It was not a place where people were not located. There were in-depth cultures and societies with institutions, political, social, and religious, that demonstrated advanced civilizations. And of course, that advancement ranged depending upon which group we were looking at. But it's important, I believe, for us to understand that reality before we get into the colonization of the Americas by specifically the British, but of course they're not the only people who are inhabiting North America. You've also got the Spanish who will set up their first settlement in California in 1769, although their presence in California was there much sooner than that. You've got the Dutch and the French and a whole range of others who are coming to lay claim to this area. Now, the type of settlement that the British will undertake in what we will call the original 13 colonies, and I'll digress here for a second. We're not going to look at all the original 13 colonies this week. Rather, we're going to be focusing in on just a couple, and that's the settlement of the Chesapeake region, and specifically we'll be looking at Virginia and the Jamestown colony, and then, of course, the New England colonies as well, and specifically we'll be looking at Plymouth, with more of an emphasis on Massachusetts Bay. But there were many other colonies, including Rhode Island and Connecticut and the Carolinas and a whole range of others. But we are going to now be focusing in on that settlement process. And the type of settlement that the English undertook in North America is called settler colonialism. I go into this a bit more detail in the lecture, but it's basically the idea that when the English came to the Americas, what they deemed the New World, it wasn't new to the world, it was simply new to them. They came to stay. They did not come to create a kingdom over the area. They came to stay, and they came looking for land. Land was the quintessential thing that people came in search for, and their understanding of land and property, in fact, helped to direct their overall taking of land within North America to settle upon. But I get into that more in detail over the next couple weeks because we will be spending a few weeks on the colonial era. So that's what we got going on. The only other thing that I want to make mention of is just to reiterate the importance of the discussion boards. Each week, normally, you will upload your main post by Thursday by 11:59 p.m. And you want to make sure that you really digest the content that you are looking at for each week. You need to make sure that you're citing and appropriately citing and quoting from the weekly materials, and this includes lectures, your textbook reading, as well as any other materials. Although you can quote, you don't want to rely too much on quotations. You want to make sure that your voice shines through. And then, of course, you'll have your subsequent response to another student by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, and that's going to be generally the case for each week. That is the case for this week. And when you're responding to other students, please make sure that you go beyond simply, hey, I agree, or I liked what you had to say here. You know, elaborate and expand upon the content by providing questions and then providing your own answers to your own questions, you know, providing your own insights. You know, you might bring in new information that wasn't brought in before. Okay. The other thing that you'll want to make sure that you do is that if I provide comments to you or questions to you about your main discussion board post, please be sure to respond to those because I'm always willing and open to give additional points so that you can get as many points as possible each week. So make sure that you respond to those questions and comments. So that's what we got, guys. That's what we'll be looking at. If you have questions or comments or what have you, please contact me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, as always, go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a blessed week, guys.